Hi, I'm Mark. This is Mark's Tech Vlogs on YouTube, and today I'm going to bring you guys an updated review of my pint of 3 after brewing for 30 pints. So if you guys have been around on this channel for a while, you'll know that a couple of months back I did a full review of a brand new pint of 3. And in that review, I took you through the brewing process, I talked about the differences between that and the pint of 2, and I also talked about the improvements that have been made along with brewing my first beer. Now the other thing I said with that is that I would bring you guys an update in a couple of months, letting you know how I've been getting on. And that's what this video is going to be. I'm just going to give you guys a bit of an update on how I'm getting on and my opinion of the device still. If you want to see that full review, I have put a link below. But by means of a summary of the pint of 3 compared to the pint of 2, it boasts a much lighter weight, an improved dock and a much improved tap. You can however buy that tap separately to attach to your pint of 2 if you don't want to upgrade the whole thing. I've also got a review for that tap on this channel. Now I've been using my pint of 3 for 3 brews now, and this is what I think of it. Firstly, for each of my brews I've been super brave and I have just put the dock with the pinter on my worktop and not put it in a washing up bowl like lots of people do just in case of leaks. Now, depending on how you feel, it might be worth putting in a bowl still just to be cautious, but I've had no issues with leaks at all. So far, I've brewed the Space Hopper West Coast Edition, I've brewed a Stonebridge, and then I'm currently drinking a Yeasty Boys Big Mouth Remix. This is one of my favourite beers that Pinter have done. So let's talk about 3 things after 3 brews. I want to talk about the brewing process, I want to talk about the drinking, and I want to talk about the cleaning. So firstly, let's start with brewing. So the lighter weight makes it much easier to mix. And generally from using a pinter over the last year, the failed brews tend to be because mixes aren't mixed properly. Having a device that is much lighter makes it much easier to shake it more rigorously and shake it for longer. That weight difference genuinely makes a massive difference. That new dock is also much easier to attach. And I found that after 1 or 2 brews with my pint of 2, I was having to use a little bit of olive oil just to lubricate it. I haven't had to do that yet with my pint of 3 dock. And then of course there's little things like having a textured carbonation dial, which means you can actually turn it when it's wet without needing to use like a monkey wrench or something. All in all, that brewing process is much better with the pint of 3. So let's talk about drinking. And of course there's all sorts of things that impact whether beer tastes good and how well it brews, but for me I've had 3 really good brews so far, and all 3 have tasted really nice. I've found that they've poured well and they've had plenty of carbonation. The only issue I've had, which I mentioned in my review, is that when I first started I had a pint of foam. And this wasn't actually anything to do with the tap, this was to do with the temperature of my fridge. And this meant there wasn't enough CO2 absorbed into the beer, which was causing all the foam when I came to pour it. I adjusted the temperature of my fridge to make it cooler and I had no issues after that. Consequently, I've left the fridge at this temperature and had no issues with any of my other brews. And that new tap is so much better than the pint of 2 tap. And that's true for a whole variety of reasons, but mostly you can easily pour a pint of beer in a very controlled way without ending up with a pint of foam. That's because this tap is much more adjustable from 0 to 90 rather than just having 45 and 90 degree positions. I've also found that my 2 brews so far, it's poured every single one of those 10 pints, and then I'm 5 pints into my big mouth. And again, this is something that makes a pinter much more enjoyable to use. And so finally, let's talk about what it's like to clean. Of course, because I'm still drinking my 3rd brew, I've only cleaned it twice. And actually the cleaning process again is much easier than with the old pint of 2. That, however, is only because of that tap. The process of cleaning the pinter itself is actually very similar because the parts are very similar. There's a cap and a body and you fill it with water and you clean it. The new grip on the side of the tap means you can actually remove the tap when it's wet, which is great. And it also is much easier to clean. And that's because that tap doesn't have the straw-like design inside, it's just a tap. So you can pour water straight into it, you can wash it with soapy water, you can even open it and get water to flow through it during the cleaning process. This just makes the whole thing much easier to clean. And of course you don't have the risk of trapping the straw when you put the tap back together because it doesn't have that straw. This means you know your tap is going to work for your next brew and you don't have to worry about whether you've made a mistake in cleaning it. So all in all, 30 pints in, is the pint of 3 any good? And I think you guys probably still know the answer to this. In my review I said it was really good and I still stand by that. I am really impressed with the pint of 3 and all the changes that have been made. That lighter weight makes it easy to mix and that tap makes it so much nicer to use. Personally, I'm really glad I picked one up and I'm actually going to be upgrading my other pint of 2 as well. If you guys do want to pick up a pint of 3, I've got a link below and you can use that to save £20 on your order, bringing it down to £79. If you've previously purchased a Pinter, then it probably won't work. However, use that with a different email address and you will get your £20 off. In addition to that, if you go through the site Top Cashback when you make your purchase, and this applies to any Pinter product, you'll get an extra 8% back into your Top Cashback account. If you don't already have a Top Cashback account, I've put a link below that you can follow as well. If you guys have got any questions, do stick them below and I'll answer those for you. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like, consider subscribing to my channel, and I will see you guys again soon.